Commander Hyan stood in the observation deck of Luna Station. Through the reinforced glass, he could see the Earth hanging in the black sky. It looked so peaceful from here. So beautiful. Blue and white and green. A marble floating in darkness. His home. He wondered if it would still be there in a week. His tablet beeped. New sensor data. He looked at the numbers and felt his stomach turn cold. The Valkyrie were not waiting for their deadline. They were coming now. And they were bringing everything. Hyan walked quickly through the station's corridors. Luna Station was humanity's largest military installation. It covered almost a quarter of the moon's surface. 10,000 people lived and worked here. Lived here. Soldiers, engineers, scientists, support staff. They had all chosen this life, knowing that one day they might have to fight. That day had come. He entered the main command center. It was a massive room filled with screens and consoles and people working frantically. At the center stood General Hannah. She was a small woman with short black hair and sharp eyes. She looked calm. She always looked calm. Hyan had served under her for 15 years and had never once seen her show fear. "Commander," she said as he approached. "Report. The Valkyrie fleet has entered sensor range," Hyan said. He handed her the tablet. "They are not sending the force they threatened. They are sending more." Hannah looked at the numbers. Her expression did not change. 12,000 warships. Interesting. They must really want to make a point. "General, 12,000 ships. Our entire fleet is 320 vessels. Even with our defensive platforms. I know the math, Commander." Hannah handed the tablet back. "The Valkyrie think they know the math too. That is why they sent so many ships. They want this to be overwhelming. They want the rest of the galaxy to see what happens when someone refuses them." Hyan swallowed. "What do we do?" Hannah turned to face the main screen. It showed a map of the solar system. Red dots were appearing at the edge. Thousands of red dots. Moving toward the center. Toward Earth. "We do what humans have always done," Hannah said. "We survive. By any means necessary." She raised her voice. "Lieutenant Sue, open a channel to all stations. This is a priority alpha broadcast." A young woman at a communications console nodded. "Channel open, General." Hannah's voice carried to every ship, every station, every military installation in the solar system. "This is General Hannah. The Valkyrie Empire has sent an invasion fleet of 12,000 warships. They will arrive in approximately 47 hours. All personnel are to begin final preparations immediately. This is not a drill. I repeat, this is not a drill." She paused for a moment. When she spoke again, her voice was softer. "I know many of you are afraid. I know the numbers look impossible. But I want you to remember something. Our ancestors faced impossible odds before. They stood against enemies who were stronger, who had better weapons, who had more soldiers. And they found ways to win. Not because they were lucky. Because they were human. Because humans do not give up. Ever." She ended the broadcast. The command center was silent for a moment. Then everyone returned to their work. There was no panic. No crying. Just people doing their jobs. Preparing for war. Hyan moved closer to the general. He spoke quietly so others could not hear. "General, what about Protocol Omega?" Admiral Yuna received authorization. Hannah nodded slowly. "Yes, it is time." She turned and walked toward a door at the back of the command center. "Come with me, Commander. There is something you need to see." They walked through corridors that Hyan had never seen before. Down elevators that went deeper than he knew the station went. Finally, they reached a door made of metal that was 3 feet thick. Hannah pressed her hand against a scanner. Then her eye. Then she spoke a code phrase. The door opened. Inside was a room that was mostly empty. Just white walls and a single console in the center. But the console was connected to cables that went down through the floor. Thousands of cables. What is this place? Hyan asked. This is the control center for the sleepers, Hana said. She walked to the console and began entering commands. Do you know why humanity spread across the stars so quickly, Commander? 100 years is nothing. A blink of an eye. Other species take thousands of years to expand this far. Why did we move so fast? Hyan shook his head. I always assumed we were just determined. We were. Hannah smiled, but there was no happiness in it. We were also scared. 50 years before we built our first starship, we found something. A ship. An ancient ship at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean. It had been there for millions of years. Hyan felt cold. An alien ship? Before first contact? Yes, it was damaged. Dead. But its technology was intact. We spent decades studying it. Reverse engineering it. We learned things that we never shared with the galaxy. Things that we hoped we would never need to use. The console beeped. On the screen, numbers began to appear. Locations around the Earth, under the oceans, under the mountains, under the cities. Hundreds of locations. What are the sleepers? Hyan asked. His voice was barely a whisper. Weapons, Hana said. Weapons that we built in secret. Weapons that we buried and hid and pretended did not exist. Because if the galaxy knew what we could do, she shook her head. The Velthari think they are coming to conquer primitives. They think this will be easy. They are wrong. They are very wrong. She pressed a final button. Around the Earth, beneath the ground and beneath the waves. Machines that had waited for decades received their signal. Power cores that had been cold for years began to warm up. Systems ran checks. Weapons came online. Humanity had been preparing for this day since before Hyan was born. Before his parents were born. They had smiled at the galaxy and pretended to be weak. Pretended to be young. Pretended to be harmless. The pretending was over. The sleepers are awake, Hana said. Now we wait. And when the Velthari arrive, she looked at Hyan. Her eyes were hard. We show them what humanity really is. Hyan looked at the screen, at the hundreds of locations lighting up around his home world. He thought about the peaceful blue marble he had seen from the observation deck. He thought about his family in Seoul, his sister in Tokyo, his friends scattered across the system. General, he said, will this work? Can we actually win? Hannah was quiet for a long moment. I do not know, she admitted. But I know this. If we are going to die, we are going to make them remember us. We are going to make them remember the name of Earth for the next 1,000 years. Somewhere in the darkness of space, 12,000 alien warships moved closer. They carried weapons that could burn cities. Soldiers that had never known defeat. Commanders who believed victory was already theirs. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Admiral Yuna stood at the center of the command bridge. Her hands were folded behind her back. Her eyes watched the massive screen that covered the entire front wall of the ship. On that screen, she could see the Velthari diplomatic vessel. It was a beautiful ship, silver and gold, curved like a seashell. The Velthari built everything to look beautiful. They believed ugly things had no right to exist. Yun thought about this as she waited for the connection to open. The Velthari had controlled this part of the galaxy for 3,000 years. They had conquered over 200 species. Some they kept as servants. Others they simply erased. They did not like competition. They did not like anything that challenged their idea of perfection. And now they had come to Seoul, to humanity's home. The screen flickered. A face appeared. It was Lord Veshan, the Velthari High Ambassador. His skin was pale blue. His eyes were large and completely black. He had no nose, only 2 small slits. His mouth was thin and turned down at the corners. He looked at Yuna like she was an insect that had landed on his food. "Human Admiral," he said. His voice was smooth and cold. "You requested this communication. Speak quickly. My time is valuable." Yuna did not react to his rudeness. She had expected it. Every species that met the Velthari received the same treatment. The Velthari believed they were superior to all other life forms. It was not arrogance to them. It was simply fact. "Lord Veshin," Yuna said. Her voice was calm and steady. "I am here to deliver a message from the United Earth government. This message is our final communication on this matter." Veshin made a sound that might have been a laugh. "Final communication? How dramatic." "Very well, human. Deliver your message." Yuna took a small step forward. 3 months ago, your survey ships entered our solar system without permission. 2 months ago, your military scouts began mapping our defensive positions. 1 month ago, your construction vessels started building a forward base on the edge of our system. We have asked you to leave. We have asked you politely. We have asked you firmly. Each time you have ignored us. "Because your requests are meaningless," Veshin said. He waved one long-fingered hand in dismissal. "The Velthari Empire claims what it wishes to claim. Your solar system has resources we require. Your planet has water and minerals. Your species will make adequate workers. This is not a negotiation. This is simply how things are." Yuna nodded slowly. She had known this would be his response. The Velthari had never negotiated with anyone. They took what they wanted. They always had. "I understand your position," Yuna said. "Now let me make ours clear. You will remove all Velthari vessels from the Sol system within 72 hours. You will destroy your forward base. You will never return. If you do not do these things, we will destroy every ship you send here. Every single one." For a moment, Rashan just stared at her. Then he began to laugh. It was an ugly sound, sharp and mocking. "Destroy our ships?" he said. "Human, do you understand what you are saying? Your species has been traveling between stars for barely 100 years. You have a small fleet of primitive vessels. Your weapons are toys compared to ours. The Velthari have conquered civilizations that were ancient when your ancestors were still living in caves. I am aware of your history," Yuna said. "Then you are aware that your threats are empty," Veshin replied. "We have studied your defenses. We have counted your ships. You have perhaps 300 combat-capable vessels. We can send 10,000, 20,000, however many we need. Your destruction would take us a single afternoon." Yuna remained still. Her face showed nothing. "Is that your final answer, Lord Veshan? You refuse to leave?" "I do not refuse," Veshin said. "Refusal implies you had the right to make demands. You do not. You are insects. You are dust. You are nothing. In 3 days, our fleet will arrive. In 4 days, your planet will belong to the Empire. In 5 days, your people will learn their proper place. On their knees, serving their betters." Ambassador Tay stood at the side of the bridge. He was an older man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had spent his whole life trying to find peaceful solutions to problems. He had believed that all species could learn to understand each other. Now he watched this conversation and felt that belief dying inside him. "Lord Veshin," Tay said, stepping forward. "Please, there must be another way. Surely we can find some agreement that benefits both our peoples. War is costly. War is wasteful. Surely, silence," Mission said. He did not even look at Tay. "I do not speak with servants, only with those who command." His black eyes returned to Yuna. "Admiral, this conversation is over. Prepare your people for conquest. If they cooperate, we may allow some of them to live. If they resist—" He smiled. It was not a pleasant expression. "Well, we have ways of dealing with resistance." The screen went dark. Tay turned to Yuna. His face was pale. "Admiral, what do we do now?" He would not listen. They never listen. "Perhaps if we gave them a chance," Yuna said quietly. "We gave them many chances. They chose not to take them." She walked to her command chair and sat down. Around her, the bridge crew waited in silence. They were all young. Most of them had never seen real combat. They had trained for it. They had prepared for it. But training and preparation were not the same as reality. Yuna pressed a button on her chair. "Communications, open a channel to Earth Command. Priority Alpha." "Channel open, Admiral," a young voice responded. "This is Admiral Yuna," she said. "The Valkyrie have rejected our final warning. They intend to invade within 72 hours. I am requesting authorization for Protocol Omega." There was a pause. Then a new voice came through the speakers. It was General Hana. She was the commander of all Earth's military forces. Her voice was cold and hard as iron. "Authorization granted, Admiral. God help us all." Yuna closed the channel. She looked at her crew. They were watching her with wide eyes. They knew something was coming. Something big. Something they had only heard whispers about. "All hands," Yuna said, her voice carrying across the bridge. "We are now at war. May humanity forgive us for what we are about to do." She pressed another button. Somewhere deep beneath the Earth's surface, machines that had been sleeping for decades began to wake up. Scientist Jay walked through the underground facility with 20 young soldiers following behind him. They were new recruits, the best of the best, chosen from millions. And they had no idea why they were here. The facility was carved into the rock beneath the Himalayan mountains. It had no official name, no official records. As far as the rest of humanity knew, it did not exist. But it was perhaps the most important place on Earth. Jay was 73 years old. He had worked in this facility for 50 of those years. He had helped build the things that slept in the darkness below. Now he was going to explain them to a new generation. "I know you have questions," he said as they walked. "I know your commanders told you nothing except to come here. That was intentional. What you are about to learn is the most closely guarded secret in human history. Until today, fewer than 1,000 people alive knew the truth." One of the soldiers, a young woman named Yoon, raised her hand. "Sir, why are you telling us now?" "Because the Valkyrie are coming," Jay said simply. "Because in 36 hours, their fleet will reach Earth. Because we need people who understand our weapons to help operate them. And because—" He paused and looked at them. "Because some of you may not survive what is coming. You deserve to know what you are fighting for." They reached a large door. Jay entered a code and it slid open. Beyond was darkness. Then, slowly, lights began to turn on. Row after row of them, revealing what lay inside. The soldiers gasped. The chamber was enormous, as big as a football stadium. And it was filled with machines. Massive machines. Black and silver and shaped like nothing human engineers had ever designed. They looked organic somehow, like the skeletons of ancient sea creatures, or the bones of something that had never lived. 57 years ago, Jay said, a research submarine found something at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, the Mariana Trench, the deepest place on Earth. At first, the crew thought it was a rock formation. Then they looked closer. He walked toward the nearest machine. It towered above him. Above all of them. It was a ship. An alien ship. Not Valkyrie. Not any species we have ever encountered. Something old. Something ancient. Our scientists believe it crashed on Earth at least 200 million years ago. Long before humans existed. Long before dinosaurs existed. What happened to the crew? Another soldier asked. His name was Day. Dawn. Turned to dust ages ago. But the ship remained. Damaged but intact. And inside, Jay ran his hand along the smooth surface of the machine beside him. Inside we found things. Technology that was millions of years ahead of anything we had ever imagined. Weapons that could tear holes in space itself. Power sources that seemed to run forever. Defense systems that could stop anything. Stared at the machines around her. We built these from that technology? Yes, it took us decades. We did not understand most of what we found. We still do not understand all of it. But we understood enough. Enough to build these. Jay's voice was heavy with emotion. We called them sleepers because that is what they do. They sleep beneath the ground. Beneath the oceans. Under cities and mountains and deserts. Waiting for the day when humanity would need them. Why keep it secret? They asked. If we had weapons this powerful, why hide them? Why pretend to be weak? Jay sighed. Because power invites attention. When humanity first reached the stars, we found a galaxy full of empires. Old empires. Dangerous empires. Species that had been conquering and enslaving others for thousands of years. If they knew what we could do, if they knew what we had found, they would have destroyed us, Yoon said quietly. Before we were ready. Yes, so we hid. We played the part of the harmless newcomers. The young species still learning how to walk among the stars. We smiled and traded and signed treaties. And all the while, we prepared. We built our sleepers in secret. We trained people like you in hidden facilities. We created a defense network that spans the entire solar system. Jay turned to face the soldiers. His old eyes were bright with something that might have been pride. Or might have been sorrow. The Valkyrie think they are coming to crush primitives. They think their 12,000 ships will sweep through our defenses like wind through leaves. They have calculated our strength based on what we have shown the galaxy. 300 combat ships. Orbital platforms. Ground defenses. They believe they know everything about us. He smiled. It was a cold smile. A dangerous smile. They know nothing. Another soldier stepped forward. His name was Min. He was tall and quiet. He had barely spoken since they arrived. Sir, these weapons. How powerful are they? Jay considered the question. Let me put it this way. One of these machines can destroy a Valkyrie battleship in a single shot. Not damage. Not disable. Destroy. Completely. And we have over 3,000 of them spread around the system. Plus the grid. The grid? Our most powerful weapon. A network of satellites hidden throughout the solar system. When activated, they create a field that can tear open the fabric of space itself. Anything caught in that field ceases to exist. The soldiers were silent. They were beginning to understand. This was not a desperate last stand. This was not a hopeless battle against overwhelming odds. This was something else entirely. You lied to the entire galaxy, Yoon said slowly. For 50 years. You made everyone think we were weak. We did what we had to do, Jay replied. The galaxy is not kind to the powerful. The moment a new species shows true strength, others band together to destroy them. It has happened dozens of times throughout history. We refused to let it happen to us. He began walking again. The soldiers followed. In 36 hours, the Valkyrie will arrive. They will expect easy prey. They will find something very different. And when it is over, when their fleet is nothing but dust and debris, the galaxy will finally know the truth about humanity. And then what? Min asked. When everyone knows what we can do? Jay stopped at another door. This one led deeper into the facility, to the control centers where the sleepers would be commanded, where some of these young soldiers would spend the battle. Then we see what happens, he said. Maybe the galaxy fears us. Maybe they try to unite against us. Maybe they finally decide to treat us as equals. He shrugged. Whatever comes, we will face it. That is what humans do. We face whatever comes. He opened the door. Now, let me show you how to wake up a sleeper. The Velthari have ignored our last warning. It is time to show them why that was a mistake. The soldiers followed him into the darkness below. Above them, through miles of rock and earth, the sky was still peaceful. But not for long. War was coming, and humanity was ready. 3 weeks had passed since the battle. 3 weeks since humanity revealed its true face to the galaxy. And in those 3 weeks, everything had changed. The lone Velthari scout had reached home. It had delivered its message. It had shown recordings of the battle, images of 12,000 ships being erased like dust in the wind. The Velthari Empire, for the first time in 3,000 years, knew fear. But it was not just the Velthari who were watching. The entire galaxy was watching. Ambassador Tay stood at the viewing window of the United Nations space station. Ships floated outside. Hundreds of them. Ships from dozens of different species. They had come to Earth not to fight, but to talk. To understand. To negotiate. Admiral Yuna walked up beside him. She looked tired. The battle had taken something from her. Victory always came with a cost. I never thought I would see this, Tay said quietly. The Kethrani, the Mulvari, the Zindari, species that never spoke to us before. They all came. They are afraid, Yuna replied. We showed them something they did not expect. A young species that could destroy an empire's greatest fleet in less than an hour. They want to know if we are a threat. Are we? Yuna was quiet for a long moment. I hope not. I truly hope not. Below them, on Earth's surface, life continued. People went to work. Children went to school. The world kept turning. But something was different now. A weight had been lifted. For decades, humanity had hidden, had pretended to be weak, had lived with the constant fear that one day, a stronger species would come to destroy them. That fear was gone. General Hana addressed the United Earth Council in a closed session. The leaders of every nation sat before her. Presidents, prime ministers, kings, and chancellors. They had seen the battle footage. They knew what humanity had done. Now they wanted to know what came next. The Velthari Empire has requested a formal peace treaty, Hana reported. They have agreed to recognize our territorial claims. They will pay reparations for their attempted invasion. And they have released every human they ever captured from their mining colonies. What about other species? Asked the president of the African Union. The ones the Velthari have enslaved? That is more complicated. Hannah pulled up a galactic map on the main screen. The Velthari still control over 200 worlds. Millions of enslaved individuals. We could demand their release. We could threaten the Empire with destruction if they refuse. Could we actually destroy them? Another leader asked. Hannah nodded slowly. Yes, our weapons could reach their homeworld. We could end the Velthari Empire permanently. She paused. But should we? Do we want to become the new conquerors? The new empire that others fear? The room was silent. It was a heavy question. Humanity had power now. More power than any species in recorded galactic history had held in such a short time. The temptation to use the power was strong. Finally, the Prime Minister of Japan spoke. We did not build those weapons to conquer. We built them to survive. Perhaps we should remember that. Scientist Jay was also thinking about the future. He sat in his laboratory beneath the Himalayas. The sleepers had returned to their resting places. The grid was offline. The battle was over. But his work was not finished. A young soldier entered the lab. It was Yoon. She had survived the battle. Many of her fellow recruits had not. She looked older now. War did that to people. Dr. J, she said. You wanted to see me? Yes, please sit. He gestured to a chair beside his desk. I wanted to thank you. You performed exceptionally during the battle. You saved many lives. I did what I was trained to do. You did more than that. Jay leaned back in his chair. The technology we found, the ship at the bottom of the ocean, we still do not understand most of it. There are systems we have not activated. Weapons we have not built. The ship itself is still down there, waiting. Yoon felt a chill. What are you saying? I am saying that what we showed the galaxy was only a fraction of our true capability. And I am worried. Jay's old eyes were troubled. Power corrupts. History has shown this again and again. Now humanity has more power than any species alive. What will we do with it? We will protect ourselves, Yoon said. We will protect others. That is who we are. I hope you are right. Jay smiled sadly. I really do. Lieutenant Sue stood on the bridge of her ship. She was being sent on a new mission. Not a combat mission this time. A diplomatic one. She was carrying humanity's official response to the dozens of species that had reached out since the battle. The message was simple. Earth wanted peace. Earth would not use its weapons unless threatened. But Earth would also no longer hide, no longer pretend, no longer play the role of the harmless newcomer. Humanity was ready to take its place among the stars. Not as servants. Not as conquerors. As equals. As her ship prepared to leave the solar system, Sue looked back at Earth one last time. The blue planet looked the same as always. Beautiful. Fragile. Home. But everything was different. Now, the galaxy had ignored humanity for a century, had dismissed them as primitives, had laughed at their attempts at diplomacy, had planned to conquer and enslave them. The galaxy was not laughing anymore. Commander, Hyan stood beside General Hannah as they watched Sue's ship depart. Dozens of alien vessels moved aside to let it pass. They did not want to risk offending humanity. Not after what they had seen. Do you think they will ever trust us? Hyan asked. Trust takes time, Hannah replied. We spent 50 years pretending to be weak. It will take time for them to understand who we really are, what we really want, and what do we want. Hannah considered the question. To survive. To protect our home. To give our children a future where they do not have to hide. She paused. Is that so different from what anyone wants? Hyan thought about his family, his sister, his friends, the billions of people on Earth who were going about their daily lives, safe for the first time in decades. No, he said. I suppose it is not. The last Velthari survivors told their story to anyone who would listen. They spoke of weapons that erased ships from existence, of machines that rose from the ground like angry gods, of a species that had smiled and hidden and waited for the perfect moment to strike. They warned everyone. Do not threaten the humans. Do not ignore their warnings. Do not mistake their kindness for weakness. Because beneath the surface of that peaceful blue world, ancient weapons waited, and humanity would never be caught unprepared again. The stars watched as a new power took its place in the galaxy, not through conquest, not through destruction, but through strength held in reserve, through mercy given to those who did not deserve it, through a promise that would echo through history. Earth remembers. Earth forgives nothing. And Earth is no longer hiding. The message had been delivered. The galaxy had received it. Now the real work would begin. The Velthary fleet entered the Sol system like a storm of metal and fire. 12,000 warships arranged in perfect formation. They moved together like a single creature. A beast of silver and gold coming to devour its prey. Lord Vishan stood on the command deck of the flagship, the Divine Will. It was the largest ship in the fleet. A massive vessel that could hold 10,000 crew members. From here, he would watch the conquest of Earth. It would be quick. It would be brutal. And it would send a message to the entire galaxy. "Status report," he commanded. "All ships in position, my lord," his tactical officer responded. "The human fleet is gathering near their third planet. Approximately 300 vessels. They are attempting to form a defensive line." Vashan smiled. How brave. How foolish. 300 against 12,000. It was not even a battle. It was an execution. "Order the vanguard to engage," he said. "Destroy their fleet. Then begin orbital bombardment of major population centers. I want the humans to see their cities burn before we land troops. As you command, my lord." The vanguard moved forward. 2,000 ships surging ahead of the main fleet. More than enough to crush the pathetic human defense. They powered up their weapons. They locked onto their targets, and then space itself turned against them. Admiral Yuna watched from her bridge as the grid activated. She had seen simulations. She had studied the theory. But nothing had prepared her for the reality. Lines of light appeared across space. Connecting points that seemed empty, but were actually satellite stations that humanity had hidden decades ago. The lines formed a pattern. A web. A net of pure energy that the Velthary vanguard flew directly into it. Ships began to die. Not explode. Not break apart. They simply ceased to exist. Where there had been metal and life, there was now nothing. Empty space. The grid did not destroy things. It erased them, removed them from existence as if they had never been. In 12 seconds, the entire vanguard was gone. 2,000 ships, millions of Velthary soldiers, vanished. On the Divine Will, Lord Vishan stared at his screens in disbelief. His tactical officer was making sounds that might have been words. Other crew members were shouting. Alarms were blaring. None of it seemed real. What? What happened? Veshin whispered. "Where are my ships?" My lord, the entire vanguard. They are gone." "That is impossible." "Nothing can." The grid pulsed again. More lines of light. This time, cutting through the main fleet itself. More ships vanished. Hundreds in a single moment. "Pull back!" Veshin screamed. "All ships pull back. Get out of range of whatever that is." The fleet tried to retreat. But the humans were not done. From Earth's surface and from hidden bases throughout the system, the sleepers rose. They emerged from oceans and mountains and underground bunkers. Massive black shapes that moved through space like living things. They fired weapons that burned with colors no Velthary had ever seen. A single beam hit a Velthary battleship. The ship's shields flickered once and then failed. The beam passed through the hull like it was made of paper. The ship exploded. Another beam. Another explosion. And another. And another. Commander Hyan watched from Luna Station. His hands were shaking. He had known the sleepers were powerful. But this was beyond anything he had imagined. "General," he said, "they are dying by the hundreds. The Velthary, they cannot fight back. Nothing they have can touch our weapons." General Hannah stood with her arms crossed. Her face was stone. "This is not a battle, Commander. This is a message. Continue the attack. The sleepers moved through the Velthary fleet like wolves among sheep. Each one targeted ship after ship, never missing, never slowing down. The alien vessels fired everything they had. Missiles, energy beams, kinetic rounds. Nothing worked. The sleepers' shields absorbed it all. Lord Vashon watched his fleet being slaughtered. 7,000 ships remained. Then 6,000. Then 5. His officers were crying. Some were praying to gods that clearly were not listening. How is this possible? He kept saying. They are primitives. They are children. How is this possible? A communication request appeared on his screen. He accepted it with numb fingers. Admiral Yuna's face appeared. She looked exactly as she had during their diplomatic meeting. Calm, cold, controlled. Lord Vashon, she said, you were warned. You chose not to listen. You lied to us. You hid your true strength. This is deception. This is survival, Yuna interrupted. Your empire has conquered over 200 species. You enslave entire worlds. You murder billions. Did you think no one would ever fight back? We are the Velthary. We are the masters of this galaxy. You were. Yuna's voice was soft, almost sad. We gave you a chance to leave peacefully. We gave you every opportunity. You chose to ignore our warning. Now you face the consequences. On the screens, more ships exploded. 4,000 remaining. 3,000. The grid pulsed again, erasing another section of the fleet. This is not war, Vashon said. His voice was breaking. This is murder. Yes, Yuna agreed. It is exactly what you intended to do to us. She ended the communication. The battle lasted 17 minutes total. When it was over, 11,999 Velthary ships had been destroyed. Millions of soldiers dead. The greatest fleet the Empire had ever assembled, reduced to scattered debris floating in the void. One ship remained. A small scout vessel that had hung back during the attack. It had been deliberately spared. Lieutenant Su guided her ship toward the scout. She did not fire. She did not need to. The Velthary inside had watched everything. They had seen their entire armada erased. They were too shocked to fight. She opened a communication channel. Velthary vessel, she said. You will return to your empire. You will tell them what happened here today. You will deliver a message from the people of Earth. There was a long pause. Then a shaky voice responded. What? What message? Sue looked at the notes in front of her. The words that General Hannah had written. The words that would be carried across the galaxy. Earth remembers, she said. We remember every species you enslaved. Every world you burned. Every life you took. And we forgive nothing. Go home. Tell your masters. If any Velthary ship ever enters our space again, we will not stop at your fleet. We will come for your worlds. We will come for your empire. We will end you. She cut the channel. The scout ship turned and fled into the darkness, running home to deliver humanity's message to the stars. Behind it, Earth floated in space, peaceful, beautiful, blue and white and green dot, and now, finally, feared.